Hi, Tammy.
Christian.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Erica. Ah, how's everyone?
Yeah. All right. How about you?
Yeah, all right. Yep.
That was the chili cook-off.
Yeah, missed it.
Yeah, I didn't go to that.
You went, Kristen, yeah?
To what?
The chili cook-off.
Yeah, it was good.
Did you agree with the winner?
No, I didn't taste hers though. I didn't know.
Oh,
So
okay.
I have a yeah, I don't like onions. So if I see a chili with like gigantic onions, I will not touch it.
Ah,
Yeah, so the green chili was really good. It was really spicy. It was but that did not win. It won like best runner-up or something like that in the name.
Mm, mm. Yeah, they should tell you at the end whose was whose. Maybe they do.
They tell you the winners and like the name winner, but
Yeah, but if you like, I always like a different one. Did you go, Christian?
I
And
don't know.
Pie, you're cut out of these things.
It sounds delicious, but like, yeah, wish I could be there. That would be something right down my alley.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Well,
I'm big.
maybe next year you can come. I've been hoping that you would come in person sometime. I know it's difficult, but if you ever do, please let us know so we can have an in-person meeting.
Sure, yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
I don't think
Mary.
any of us has ever said you can't come, have we?
Huh? Sorry?
I'm saying to Pi, I don't think any of us have ever said he can't come.
No, no. No, no, but he has
I'm,
logistical
I'm,
constraints.
I'm just razzing.
That's right. We always welcome Pie. We do hope to meet you in person someday. Erica, have you and Pie ever met in person?
We have met a couple times in person at conferences.
You met him at a conference, right?
I think technically I met him when I interviewed for a job, when he was a grad student.
Oh, wow. Somewhere else then.
Yeah.
Hmm. Interesting. Ways to meet people. Well, Erica, you're on, so I'll just let you take it away and then we'll go over to the tech team.
All right, sounds good. So my three things. See, the first thing is this Starbucks cup. I collect the like Starbucks. Let me unblur my camera. I think that'll make life easier. Uh, I collect these like Starbucks you've been here mugs from cities, and I've had to stop collecting just random city ones because I think I'm up to like 52 now, and we had to get a separate cupboard to keep all my mugs, and my husband said that enough was enough. So now I can only get the really cool ones. So this is one from we got from Vienna when we went Christmas market exploring, I think last year. So yeah, that's one thing I collect. It also represents just traveling. My husband and I like to travel quite a bit, so it just adds to the fun to be able to relive as we're drinking coffee out of the mugs. Remember where we went. See, my second item is actually a picture. Let's see if it'll show up on my phone. So this is a picture of also my husband and I. And this is, it kind of looks like he's like shooting me with a drill gun. He's not, it's not like an aggressive
He's
picture at
he's
all.
not drilling you.
Um, but towards the end of COVID, our house has an unfinished basement. It's like a new build with one of those like very unfinished basements. And I bought an elliptical and we are trying to figure out where to put it. And we are going to put it in the basement, but there was no electricity down there. So we're like, oh, we may as well run a couple lines of electricity, like a light and an outlet. And then I started over engineering and analyzing, and I was like, why don't we just build out the whole basement? So, us plus his family were really helpful. We built out the whole basement, and it was really fun. So, like, we did, the framing and the drywall and the flooring, and we built a bar, and we like poured cement countertops and built a fireplace. And it was super fun, and ran all the electrical. And so now it's my dream to like flip a house, sometime in the future, specifically an old church turned into a house. So I always have my eye on real estate, for old churches for sale because I think they have really cool bones and it'd be fun to like flip it into a house.
Well, that's kind of a trip.
And I think it also just like is the only example of me utilizing my civil engineering degrees. So it helps me feel a little bit better about all the time spent in school. And then my third item, I have to go get, so I will be right back.
I don't think I've ever seen an old church for sale.
Is my super cute dog. And this is my dog Fallon. And just like any millennial couple that owns a doodle, he's like our child and gets very overspoiled. And I just woke him up from his nap, so I don't think he's very happy about that. But that's my dog. So that's my third item.
Oh, you're an item. Well, Misa will regret missing this day.
Yep, so thanks for letting me share.
Oh, he's so into his dog, Misa. And that is a cute dog.
He
Look
is
at
pretty
the
cute.
nose.
He's a mini golden doodle.
Is he fully grown?
Yeah, he's 36 pounds. He's a little overweight.
Yeah, but that's as big as he's gonna get. He looks
Yeah,
small.
yeah, he
It
is
is
very
so
small.
cute. Thank you for sharing. Aw, we're gonna have pet day. We should have a pet day. Do you have a pet, Pie?
We used to have a mini golden doodle when we were in Boston. So we were sharing it with my wife's sister, because we live nearby. So we were on shared duties to take care of him. Now I visit him like once in 6 months. That's the only reason I go back to Boston. There's nothing else.
Well, you have a reason to come to Fort Collins.
And since Pi mentioned it, he got married 2 weeks ago,
Oh
so
yeah.
the wife is new.
What? And you didn't say a word.
Oh yeah, I it just totally slipped my mind. So yeah, I
Oh, don't tell her that.
no, so we eloped in Hawaii recently in October. Uh, uh, she was previously my girlfriend for 8 years, so good as a time as any. So we decided to elope in a really romantic location. Yeah.
Oh, wait, okay, pictures are demanded. Sorry, tech team,
Wow.
I'm cutting into your time. Do you have pictures?
Yeah, I'll email the pictures.
Okay, email the pictures. Danny has some news. Don't you
I
dare.
got engaged last week. I do.
Whoa,
Not as exciting as an elopement, but
congratulations.
Congrats.
yeah, thank you. And you too, Pi. Congrats.
Thanks, Dan.
That is so exciting. Oh my gosh. Wow, all this like good energy. That's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. Okay.
So I just want to say, so in Pittsburgh, there is a brewery called Church Brew Works, and it used to be a Catholic church, and now it is a brewery with food. Seems like a great thing to do with a church.
I've been to a couple of those. I stayed in an Airbnb that used to be a church, so I've seen people repurpose them well. That's cool.
So,
I'll look for
and
that. I want to go to Pittsburgh.
they've actually retained the church look of it. They've got the altar, and you probably can't see, but all of the brewing tanks, I'm drawing a blank on the name, the vats, whatever, are on the dais, the where the priest would have stood.
That's cool. Next time you'll see me with a Starbucks Pittsburgh mug, and you'll know I went.
Paul, I
Okay.
went a few years ago, and it was very like it was really really neat. And like no one told me we're going on a it was after a conference. It was like, okay, we're just gonna go hit some bars afterwards. And we like walked in. I was like, what is this place? Like this is amazing.
Yeah, it really is. And you can just say, hey, I'm going to church.
Uh-huh. Okay, well, Erica, you do have to pick someone next for three things. However, I'm going to butt in, and next time we meet, everyone bring a picture of the weirdest bar or coffee shop you've been to.
Weirdest bar or
It
coffee
can, it
shop?
doesn't have to be super weird, but it can be like, you can bring the picture of the church.
I'm not going to repeat it already, but it's a great idea.
Okay. It can be just like funky or whatever. Whatever. And if that's not you and you don't do bars or coffee shops, you can bring your favorite church. Who's up after you, Erica? You want to pick someone?
Yeah, is there anyone left that hasn't gone yet?
Has not. I don't remember. Are you keeping track, Kristen? Because I think they're in the spreadsheet, but I shouldn't blame everything on you, huh?
I think Misa and you, Tammy, are the last
The
two.
lone holdouts.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you can flip a coin there, Erica.
Oh, let's go with Misa. Unless
Okay. Okay.
we don't want to put him on the spot since he's not here, but
Well,
he'll get
yes,
the
we
email in the
can.
morning.
Yes, we can. Okay, that reminds me that before we get into tech team, we don't have meetings scheduled out. And I we keep sending out these messages like, hey, if there's anything you want to talk about, let us know. And then nobody answers and we have to tap you. So I I realize that it is more important to get your work done and so on than to make presentations and put on a show. But you may just want to consider like letting us into your inner thinking. Um, so yeah, is there anyone who wants to step up for next week or the week after and or the week after? And this could also be things that are not Sapphire's team, but things that are relevant.
May I suggest you ask that question again at the end and see where the tech team discussion goes?
Well, for sure. Okay, sure. If I remember, okay, help me remember, folks. Um, I will be at a conference next week, but I should be done by this time, so I could join. But I'm not going to contort myself into joining if there's nothing anyone wants to talk about. Okay. Um, tech team, I'm going to give it over to you. We haven't had a tech team meeting in a while, unless you have been having them and not told me. Um, and I realized that when I looked at the list of things on the tech team discussion, and lots of them have been resolved, which yay means we're moving. So you can start with that list. I do want to talk about the accessibility thing at some point, but I want to hear what I don't want to take all your time. I want to hear where you folks are at and what you would bring to the team.
All right. Um, I guess I don't feel like I've got a like a cohesive story here, but I can share a few things. Um, One is, I think we have, I don't know if we 100% put our stamp on it, but I feel like we have over time gravitated toward having the for the whole house pressurization testing system, having it be connected into the return duct of the forced air system. Christian, you've had a lot of misgivings about that. I don't know if our discussions have gotten you off of having misgivings about it. You're
I'm in
Yeah, I
the
want to
same
hear about
place as
this gravitation.
before. I have all of the same misgivings, and I am up for you to convince me. But no, I still don't think the technology is ready to tie into somebody's core functionality in their home.
Paul, can you talk about that gravitation that you've experienced then? Because it seems like you perceive a drift. Um, yeah, say
well,
something about that.
so over time, because we were concerned about we were concerned about a couple of things. One was what Christian just said of tying into a core central kind of the nervous system or some kind of bodily system of a home. Um, and then also we were worried about permitting concerns. Well, we have a permitting concern regardless of what we do, that we can't do the whole house pressurization testing without dealing with a permit, at least in Fort Collins. So I feel like that one kind of moved away. And then to do what we had been talking about instead of tying into the forced air system, um, was going to be cutting holes in people's floors and then having to patch them. And while we all kind of agreed we could do that over time, and I think others began to feel a little less comfortable with that. Because it's really hard to put it back like it was never cut in the first place. The costs from the contractor to do that work would be significantly higher. It's not how a system would typically get done in kind of like if contractors were doing this in general, they would do it more tied into the return system. I'm quite confident of that because there are already ventilation systems that do that. Um, and so just over time, I really felt like doing the cutting the hole in the floor while we had gone there because of the concerns about tying into the furnace system, it was becoming more problematic than tying into the furnace system in a number of ways. I acknowledge that part of my comfort with tying into the furnace system is because I'm very familiar with a lot of ventilation installations that qualitatively do exactly this. The primary difference is how much flow. We're going to be putting in more flow than what is done in a ventilation system that is qualitatively the same. And the duct will be bigger. So it means a bigger hole in the side of the return plenum. Now, return plenums are very easy to patch. I'm not worried about that. I do think there is, we have to be a little bit careful in terms of bringing in so much air from outside. The primary concern there is that when you when you're in heating mode, manufacturers want the mixed air temperature. So that's the combination of what's come recirculated back from the house and anything that's been brought in for ventilation, that mixed air temperature to be above a certain point. And when we bring in more air than is typically done in these ventilation systems, and it's very cold outside, we're going to potentially get close, at least close to that point. And so that's something we need to take into consideration.
Okay,
So over,
hold on, Paul. Okay, are you almost done? Because I want to stop you for a bit.
go ahead
But
and stop.
um, so first of all, you're saying a lot of so first of all, I think you've gotten more comfortable with tapping into the return system. It doesn't sound like Christian has.
Right.
Is this correct? So the characterization we have gravitated. There may be only one gravitating body. Now maybe that makes the center of mass gravitate. That's still not the same thing. Um, I, I've gotten the impression from your discussions with Parker that Parker's not worried about it too much either. Is that right? But I think Christian has never had a chance to meet with Parker. Is that also right?
Believe that is correct. Yeah, Krishna was not able to be there when Parker was visiting. Of course, when Parker was visiting, we were talking about cutting holes in the floor. This could actually be a really good topic of conversation for a future tech team meeting if Parker was available and we make him a guest.
Well, can you see if that can happen?
Hmm.
That would be great. Would you
Yep.
be up for that, Christian? Or do you think that
100%. Yeah.
you're do you think that you're still gonna I know you're still gonna have concerns and that's reasonable, but do you think that talking with a contractor could help to assuage some of them or allow you to ask questions that you haven't gotten answered?
Sure, I think it will answer some. I think my concerns fall into a few categories. Some of them are the unknown piece because I don't know HVAC. Paul knows those. And so, I trust Paul's opinions there, and the contractor will further help those, but that's certainly true. That's one big one. One is we've identified cases that we have to tap into, or it sounds like we'll need to engage with the home's HVAC system to turn it on and off, because there was some conditions where we think that all the pieces need to go on. And that seems like an extra burden risk with everything else we have on the
Mm.
plate that doesn't sound trivial. And the third is from the core technology. So second one, maybe the contractor will help with, just because they know that stuff. Third is we've never run this stuff for extended, unsupervised periods of time. I wouldn't be comfortable tapping it into my HVAC, and ethically, I don't feel comfortable putting something into somebody else's home that
Yeah,
I wouldn't put into my own. And
yeah,
I don't feel comfortable. We don't have unsupervised weeks and weeks of these things running.
yeah.
So we may
Okay.
get there, but
So,
those are the three things for me.
okay. Paul, a lot of the things that you've brought up about the temperature, which I can't remember what it's called, but the temperature where you need to bring it in to the return. I understand those. Are those written down anywhere?
Manufacturers have it in their specs,
No, no,
the
no. Have
temperature.
you written down the concerns for our device?
I am not sure, but hold on just a second. I think I'm giving away Halloween candy.
Yay. Um,
Who was trick-or-treating at 1:20 in the afternoon?
Yeah,
it's
where
like it's late here.
Yeah.
oh, hmm.
Okay.
I will say there was a shocking number of kids in downtown Fort Collins. It took
Yeah.
me 40 minutes to get back to the building from my house because of the number of people walking downtown. It was crazy.
Like right now?
Yeah, I got back like half an hour ago.
Whoa.
But they don't
40
come
minutes
to
ago.
your house anymore because they have this downtown thing. So that's kind of, I mean, it's good. It's a very community thing, but then they don't have the house to house thing. Except Kristen. Kristen always wins on the attraction.
Yeah, we
Tammy,
have.
what was your question about me writing things
So my
down?
question is like all these things that have to be considered for installing the system. I've heard you say these a number of times, but I don't know where they're written. I don't know where the guidance is for our team.
So I have to go back and look. It's a good question. I have to go back and look. We had that document where I laid a number of things out. Christian, I know,
Mhm.
made a bunch of comments. I have to go back and look and see what ended up in that. It may be there, it may not be. If it's not, then I agree it needs to get added.
Okay. Um, so and then Christian, I understand you don't have, we don't have the history that would make you comfortable. And then it's hard to get the history without having a house, and so we're in a little bit of a chicken and egg thing there. Um, but which doesn't mean, um yeah, I'd like everybody people may not come to the level of comfort, to the same level of comfort, but I would like to have everybody feel like we're not like overstretching our risk, or we've stepped toward acceptable risk. And I think one of the ways to do that is to have a test house that isn't one of the ones that Misa's turning up now, that is running for a period of time. It doesn't have to be occupied, but it has to be recorded. Is there a way to do that?
So we have the kind of standalone window unit type models pretty
Yes.
darn
Yeah.
close. Especially if we say we're going to ignore things like the final changes we want to make on the dashboard and all of that, like the unoccupied
Mm-hmm.
house, there's some more stripped down core functionality ones that
Right.
we can put up sooner that may not have some of the final design pieces that we're working on and some of those pieces, but have the functionality. Yeah.
So I think for those of you who have not been involved in tech team discussions, let me just try to summarize and you guys tell me if I'm wrong. Okay. There's three possibilities for pressurizing the house. In all cases, a certain amount of air has to be introduced. It's probably about the level of a kitchen range hood, not a bath fan. Yes? Um, and so that's a fair bit of air, for those of you who have working range hoods. And so there are three ways to do that. One is to dump it into the return plenum of a central air system, which is drawing air in anyway. One is to cut a hole in the house somewhere. Paul was thinking the floor, and dump it in through that hole. And one is to push it in through a window, making up a window unit that replaces a window panel like an air conditioner would. Okay, did I get that right?
Yes.
One challenge with any of these methods, but least with the central air method, is that it's getting winter and people don't want a range hood's worth of cold air blowing into their house. Right. So it would have to be in a place wouldn't, where they wouldn't contact it, or some other way where it could be conditioned. And am I correct? That's not a thing we have built in right now.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got the conditioning, I think, would only be through the return. I think that's the only pathway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. The
So
the
that's
other
a way
two
in which
methods, it's like 200 CFM of 0 degree air being dropped into one or two spots.
yeah. Um, so all of these things seem um to have something undesirable about them. Okay, so we are halfway through our time though, and acknowledging that the pressurization device still remains to be solved and agreed upon. One of the reasons I wanted to do this in full team is so everybody knows what the issues that are being fought with are. Are there other things that the tech team wants to bring forward?
There are two things that I would like to bring forward that are not specifically about the pressurization um, approach. One is that on Thursday next week, the 6th at 11 o'clock, I'm going to be doing a little training with the field team on duct leakage diagnostics. That's a thing that's been brought in, and I'm going to be, with whoever, and you're all welcome to join 11 o'clock Thursday. But it is It is to make sure that Misa and I think Will is still doing this, or I don't know Will's status exactly, but um, I know I set it so that Misa and I could work together on this. So I just want to let people know that that is happening because I know the duct leakage thing is something that's been a bit of a mystery to a lot of people as it's been gradually getting into our conversation. The second thing is I've been communicating with Parker to revise his quote. And I've actually been asking him to give a quote based on the idea of tying into the return system. We may end up having to go a different direction. Um, I've talked to him. And so, Christian, you have talked about and shared with me some things about procurement. And it seems like $10,000 is a magic number. And so we are trying to have it be under $10,000. But it occurred to me today, yesterday or today, because we asked Ava about the thresholds, Ava Hybiak at Energy Institute, and she asked what project this is for. And so then as soon as she asked that question, I'm like, oh, the last time we tried to do anything, any purchasing through Energy Institute for Sapphires, we were told we couldn't do it. So we're going to have to punt that over to mechanical engineering. So I'm going to have to work with somebody, Tammy, you probably, to go through that process. And hopefully we don't have to go through a long multiple bids procurement process.
Well, Karen Mueller is the person in the college who's to start with, and she's good, and she's not um she does not try to be an obstacle.
So I
Yeah,
don't want
she's
you to go
very
ahead.
open to having a conversation beforehand.
Okay.
She's a big fan of having an informal conversation and
Mm-hmm.
hypotheticals
Mm-hmm.
before you submit paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
So I am happy to, if I can be introduced to her, to have me and one or both of Kristen and Whitney talk with her if others don't want to have to spend the time on it. I realize this
Yeah.
is kind of more in my little paddock over here. But if others want to be involved, that's fine. I'm not trying to exclude anybody. I'm just
Okay.
trying to respect people's time to not
Yeah.
have to spend all this time on small things like this.
Yeah, let me introduce you to Karen, but just I mean, I hope it's okay because you're not engineering. That's fine. It's got to be fine, right?
I'm facilitating it. It's going to go through engineering, but I'm
Yeah.
facilitating it, right? And I'm on the
Yeah.
project.
Yeah, I
Hopefully
mean,
she'll.
the Sapphires FNA goes to the College of Engineering, so I think Paul communicating on behalf of this project is totally within the realm of reason.
Yeah, that's true. And on this particular one, Paul doesn't get any of the FNA just because he couldn't be a PI. Um,
Yeah, I agree. One piece, Paul, in that 10K, you can go above that before it gets really messy. 10K is just the line where our fiscal officer, which I think is Leon, maybe for this panel. Is
no,
that right? Um,
no. Oh my God.
is it Leon though for this one?
Yes, but
Okay, so whoever it is, up to 10K is when they can do it purely within their discretion. So that's where that.
Yeah.
The
Ava
next one is
suggested,
20K. So
okay. Ava suggested 50K was a very important number.
okay, it won't be that
50K
though.
makes things very hard
We don't
to get
have
it above 50K.
we don't have 50K. So that works
Right.
out just fine.
Yeah. So the last quote we had from Parker was going to be at 10, up to 10 homes would be under 20K, but not under 10. We have since taken some things back. Like he was spending $500 a unit for the filter holder.
Right.
We're doing that ourselves.
Right.
So
Thanks, Danny.
he is going to, yes, thank you, Danny. So he is going to scope it. I just talked to him yesterday. He is going to scope it out based on tying it into the return system. And if we have to revise the bid because we choose not to do that, fine. But he's hoping to have something to me by the end of today. Haven't seen it yet,
Okay. Okay.
but it should be coming. I'm hoping to get that part wrapped up soon so that does not become the thing that delays us further. He also said that they do work down in the Denver area, but he will have to talk to his lead on these sorts of things to try to navigate, to try to understand where is and is not a hassle for permitting.
Yes.
And now I rest.
Recording, recording again. Um,
Paul, you said you had two things. Was those two merged together?
The one was doing the duct leakage training,
Okay,
and the second was Parker. And
cool.
I'll talk with Parker about when he can make this time in the next hopefully couple of weeks.
that would be great.
Cool.
Um, good.
I I had one that I wanted to get people's thoughts on as we try and finish up the dashboard if we're open for new topics. And we're jumping all around. We have never, I think, settled on how we are going to switch modes in the home, as in a home will be pressure or portable air cleaner before it shows up. So that's easy for us to kind of preset. But we'll go from installed, not running, to automated, to manual, and some combination of things. Uh, just need to think about how we want to do that. A, communicating to people that we're going to be changing things, which I know was talked a little bit about. Was it only last week that the Erica and Pi did their updates? I think that we talked about the surveys being a reasonable time to at least communicate these sort of things. But are we going to have people go to the houses? Um, well, let me tell you the two options that come to mind, and then maybe that'll be a little easier. I have it set up right now that we can swap modes from the screen, from this kind of admin mode. Now, we don't want participants to do that. If we have somebody in the house, as in one of our team members, that's a super simple, really, really safe way to do it. If we are not going to be going in the home between modes, we can do it wirelessly. I'll just want to do some really diligent testing that all those variables get swapped, and if it loses power, it doesn't reset to something else. And so I just wanted to kind of check in if we have thought about what that swap out might look like.
If we don't have someone go in, you said you could do it wirelessly. I mean, another potential option perhaps is it could you just set a date for it to change internally, like at midnight on day X?
Yeah, we definitely could have a hard-coded date.
But I think we want to inform them, right? Just like we want to inform them when the background period is over. So that's another switch that is analogous. So, um, so maybe we should, can we think about it from the user perspective as what do we want the user to experience at the time a change is being made and then figure out how to deliver it?
I definitely think we want to convey it to people.
Yeah.
Um, I guess what we could do, I'm saying this without thinking this through all the way, which is super dangerous, but um, I think Danny had the good idea, and I said, I don't think we can do that, but I think we can do it easier. This idea of like, here's a little intro page of like, you download a new app. Here's welcome to the new app, whatever. When we have people change, I think it'd be pretty easy for me to have that pop up. We
On
could
the
have them
on the interface?
on the interface. Um, that could be a timed thing, right? Hey, it's time for your switch out mode or whatever. Time to do your survey, whatever things we're prompting them to do. And when they finish that, they acknowledge it. And that hard changes the settings between the different modes. Because I think my concern, Erica, of like just based on a date, is if we miss them by like a day in terms of communication and suddenly
Mm,
it's now doing something different, I think we need like an acknowledgement from them that they
mm.
know their system might be changing. Just so we don't like freak them out.
Yeah, I definitely think there needs to be some change. And yeah, like I guess in the perfect world, a picture it changes at some time, and then yeah, just a giant pop-up appears that they have to clear that like, they read the simple vernacular that now the system operates in the manual or automated condition. But yeah, I mean we could certainly tie it into like after they complete a specific survey for sure.
And
I think
Kristen, we have our participant book that's like what is coming. So everyone had a chance to comment on that. Not everybody did, but it's done. Um, but is there a book for like now that the system's in your home, this is what to expect? Gosh, I forgot what manual mode is. What can I look at? Were we planning to give them a book like that?
so. I will say that Pi has been making an information screen on the display. It's not very thorough, but basically just says like what automated mode means, what manual mode means, and then what air quality means. We could add another little blurb. We didn't want to put too much information on that page, but it is one like feature that it always has.
Because I think the question is and this has also come up in other discussions. If the user has a question about the operation during the study period, how do we, well, I feel like we certainly want to answer questions, but then by answering questions differently, we could be biasing how they interact with it. So I want to kind of step back from that and uh, I don't know. I've got a mm, I don't want to bias it, but I also don't want to mess it up by not giving them the information they need.
Seems like we have two things here. What are we telling them and when are we telling them, right?
Yep.
Well, and there's also a how. How are we telling them? And one thing that I did, this might be way too rudimentary, so I'm sorry if it's just like Paul, shut up. Um, but one thing I did in when I was doing a bunch of homes in radon study where I was needing to have the resident swap whether the passive radon pipe was blocked or not with a little metal disc, was some of them just wanted calendar invites. You need to swap it today. And so if we're going to do something like on midnight on January 24th, we're going to swap it. We could send a calendar invite that says reminder, tonight at midnight, it's going to swap modes. See here for a reminder of what the definition of those modes are.
Does that work for everyone? Work for your
Yeah,
people, and
I think it's a good one. Yeah, I think a calendar invite's a good one.
If
Another
something
one we've done
changes the
for
timing, if something makes it so we have to do it a day or two later, we just change the calendar invite.
Yeah,
hmm.
we could
Christian, I'd be
symbol.
interested to, oh, sorry.
No, please.
Um, Christian, I feel like you'd have a key thought on this. I feel like there's no mode that will work for everyone. So I think often the choices will be multimodal, which I think phrase people's energies, or will be one or two modal, and we'll accept the losses that we anticipate associated with those modes. I think calendar invite is a pretty good one, but there'll probably be some losses for people that don't use calendars to manage their lives. And at least from my perspective, that'd be a tolerable number to like have a little bit of like we'd have to do something to make up for people that don't see that calendar invite. But that's kind of how I think about this approach to communication with participants. Because I don't think we want to be a customer service um, front office. But
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree. I like the idea of the calendar invite. I also prefer the option of hard coding some dates in there, but then having to acknowledge the change before it goes into effect. Because if we get distributed, it'd be really nice not to send poor Danny down to Denver for 60 seconds just to change the mode um,
I think
of
you're
the
right.
device. So
I think
maybe,
we do want ways of doing it remotely, that we want to have that as an option.
yeah, that's about what I was going to say. What about this as a working plan? And I'll try and vet it and test it this way. We hard, well, we can set dates from the admin screen of the progression that we expect it to go. So a start period, switch on this date, go into this mode, switch on this date, go to this mode, have to acknowledge for it to transition from mode one to mode two to mode three, but have the ability that if we send somebody down there, we can overwrite those dates
Mm-hmm.
in the database. But that would be like the backup is going back to change the dates, not the preferred. And so if all is going well, it'll just progress through its cycle. Does that seem like a reasonable, at least starting place for me to do something? Maybe I'll set it up and we'll just have it change every 2 days on some of these test units, and we can just
Yeah.
make sure it's
Yeah,
doing things.
sure.
Another suggestion, I think calendar invite's a good one. We used to give laminated cards with all of our technology. I have one of the screens here next to me. There's a big enough spot. We could just put a laminated, most important cheat sheet type information on the back of the display of if you don't know what else to do, look on the back. Um,
And so that's the sort of thing that I was wondering, are we going to have that available? Because or something like that. I don't know. Pi is developing an information screen, but some people may prefer cards. Some people may be like, if it's on the device, it needs to be on the device. Um, but I
yeah, and
think
if they
it's,
can't find where to get to the info tab, right, we're going to have all ranges of technological
yep,
ability. So it
that
might be
has to be
pretty pared
okay.
down, but um, okay, I will start thinking about what might go onto that card. Um, Hi, I'll reach out to you and see what you have on the info because I don't want to like duplicate things, but maybe some of the things I have on the card will be to learn more information, go to the info tab. That's everything. But I
And
imagine we'll be talking a lot the
it
next
doesn't
couple
seem like it
weeks.
has to be a lot because most of the stuff is going to be on the participant booklet. So another thought, not to put more on Kristen, but Kristen likes to make things pretty, right? And so it could be, aligned with the participant booklet and all that stuff. So you guys don't have to do all the visual work if you have the content, unless you want to.
No, I think it'd be good to have just like a cheat sheet on the very back of it. And I mean, we have space for even on the FAQs. Like it's just everything's like kind of spaced out. So um there's room.
I would happily just give somebody the text and they can get into a visually appealing standpoint. I have no cares to give about that. So happy to give it to you.
Okay. Well, we have people for that.
Really quickly going back to the calendar invite and how we alert them, I imagine we'll have to send them either texts or phone calls or emails, whatever their preferred mode is, to like remind them to take the survey because I'm sure people are going to forget. So we could do a similar modality as well when we do the switch over. And then the only other thought I had, so we will have that point of contact, I imagine, for the surveys. The only other thought is if someone has to, like, hey, yes, I acknowledge that my system is now going to be under manual condition. Like, what? And this is, an extreme case. What happens if they go 5 days and they never accept that, and now they've experienced technically the condition for an uneven amount of time compared to the rest. So there's something we might have to think about the trade-off of.
Yeah, 100% agree.
I would guess if that happens, they're kind of not paying attention to the interface.
Yeah.
Right? So that, yes, you're right. We may want to have an override because not paying attention to the interface is also a way of being that we would like to test, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I definitely think you should have an override. I I think I've never had a study that I don't have the category of did not pay attention to the thing.
I would be that person.
Yeah, well, so would I in some cases. So I totally relate. But yeah, we're in the midst of that right now where we're having like people who write us and say, we want to be part of the study. And then we send them the calendar invite and they just said like, I never got the calendar invite, but they did. They just never paid attention to it
Mm-hmm.
or they auto deleted it or something, these things
Mm-hmm.
happen.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, we need to have multiple modes. We need to have overrides. Everything needs to be friendly. And above all, we need to know how to interpret the data that we get, even if people don't do what we want, because part of the test is we think people don't do what we want, right?
Yeah, I have an updated version of what the interacting with the dashboard data looks like, so I can circulate that around to people.
Cool. Do you have extra ones? Or have you given them all out
Extra,
now?
extra dashboards.
Mm,
I have extra ones. I just need to load the latest code on it 'cause working with Erica and Pi to make it easier to update.
okay.
So that's what I'm hoping to finish this weekend. It could be the trial run of loading new code.
I'm happy to be the trial. Wait, I won't be home for a little while, but Paul will be home. You can make him do it. Wahaha. Okay, so we are at the point where Paul said, "Can you ask at the end of this call if we have if we have something to talk about next week? Do we?"
We were going to talk about accessibility though.
Oh,
The
Rod, and you
Mhm.
need to do it. Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, quick. Like the whole accessibility thing, we did not know what to say when our first person who signed up was blind. And we're like, well, we didn't list that as a criterion for exclusion, but I don't know how they're going to interact with the interface. And then what does that mean for the whole university's or accessibility thing? I don't like suddenly all that thing that seemed so distant was not distant anymore. Okay, what do we have to say about that?
My first thought is that we just have a candid conversation with the resident. Bring them in as part of the decision-making process. This is what the system is like. This is what is entailed. This is what is required of you. Is there a simple way for this to work for you given your disability? Let them say, "Oh yeah, I don't think that I'm not. I don't know how we could make that work." Or here are the things that would need to be in there to make it work. And we say, "Well, that's not something we can do at this time." Or they say this sort of thing would make it work. We say, "Oh yeah, that's easy." But I think we should have them included in the discussion.
Yeah, it's tricky. Like, obviously, want them to be included. In the past, we've talked about the compensation being tied to completing the surveys, and like, so they would have to be able to have someone help them complete the survey, basically.
Well, I assume Qualtrics is accessible. Like it could be read or something. Is that not true?
It it is. Some of the survey questions aren't accessible friendly, but that's okay. Not a
Is
reason, I
there,
think.
could we identify a person that could do it with them? That's what we do in some cases with Spanish speakers who end up saying they don't want to actually take our Spanish survey. They just say, I have a a person who will go through it with me, who's bilingual. Usually it's a household member. I mean, is that, I don't know if anyone's had a conversation yet with this participant, if they have someone in their home that would at least do that. I guess the other issue you're saying is the interaction with the interface is modified since it's visual.
I think I have a similar question of how did they fill out the inquiry form? And if they did it themselves, like if there's an accessibility package software, something that they're using that they use to fill out the form, can we use that for the surveys and or for the interface?
These are reasons why I think we need to include them in the discussion. And people who have these types of disabilities have done all kinds of things to be able to have very good, solid functioning lives
Yeah.
in things that we are not aware of. And so if we make the decision without them, then we are excluding them perhaps unfairly. And so I strongly advocate that we include them. And if after the discussion it's like, yeah, this isn't going to work, fine.
They seemed kind of eager, right, Kristen?
Oh, I don't know. I wasn't on the call. Misa
Oh,
talked.
okay. Okay.
Let's also
Um,
keep in mind that there's a lot of people who keep being excluded because people make assumptions about
I
what they can do.
know.
And I don't want us to be that.
I agree. Okay, so Misa's already had a conversation with them. Is that right, Kristen?
Correct. We don't have a question that asks something like that in the intake
Yeah.
form. So it was
Yeah.
just part of the conversation with Misa. And so Misa didn't know how to answer, so he was just saying, "I'll talk to the team."
Okay. All right.
So when
Well, then, does
much
anyone else have anything to say about this?
I fall into the category, I feel like we should have the conversation, and I don't, from the dashboard side of things, I don't have any good pathway to making it accessible, I think. But I'm happy to hear what they think might work for them. Um, if it's as simple as they just need huge buttons and we take out lots of the graphics, I can accommodate that. But I am
Let's
pessimistic, I guess, but happy to
okay.
have the conversation.
Let's figure out who needs to be in that conversation, right? Um, because I think it's going to need to be people who can. I don't want to be relaying the second and third hand to people who might have to make those decisions. So, Christian, I think you probably need to be there. Um, Paul, the way you came in at that, you sounded like you'd be a really good advocate. I'm concerned about trying to schedule you and Christian at the same time, but we can try. And I would like to be there too. I agree with you that we need to be open, and the answer may also not be no, but just not yet. We're going to be telling a lot of people not yet, right? We have early technology. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles. We can't even do multifamily buildings yet, for example. So we are going to have to exclude people because we're early, but it should be for that reason and not because they're excludable.
So I will say I think Christian is the single most important person to have me on that conversation because he knows the dashboard better than anybody and what can be done. I am very happy to be on that if the schedule works. I am interested in it, but if it's me or Christian, it needs to be Christian.
Sure.
I was gonna say, I always feel like I'm the most important person, but yeah, happy to participate there.
You you are.
We have a lab audit, so I got to go do that. But yeah, just let me know, and I can make time for this. Just
Okay.
let me know when that schedule is.
Okay.
Thank you. Then we didn't sort out, by email, send me a thing if you think you have something to talk about next week. I will follow up, but everyone needs to go. Thanks, bye. Have a great weekend.